with the elders, they devised this plan. And here was the plan. They got together a large sum of money. They gave it to these guards, and they gave these instructions. I want you to read them with me. It says, "You are to say, his disciples came during the night and stole him away while we were asleep." Let's start with the obvious. First, this is a bold-faced lie, right? I mean, the guards know that this is not true. Why? They were there. They saw the angel come down. They were part of the earthquake. They saw the stone rolled away. They heard what the angel said. They had rushed back in the city to report what had happened. So when they tell other people that the disciples came during the night and stole the body, they know that they're lying. The chief priests and the elders know that it's a bold-faced lie. I don't know what they were doing at the time, but when the guards came in and said, "You wouldn't believe what happened. There was an earthquake, and an angel came down and rolled the stone away and said Jesus isn't here anymore." When they heard those words, they knew that this lie they were making was just that, a lie. And on the scale, okay, right, there are a variety of different kinds of lies. There are twisting the truth, little indiscretions that we make when we don't tell the whole story. This, I think to state the obvious, is a bold-faced lie, right? Wouldn't you agree with me? Everybody knows that it's not true. And I want to point out to you what this lie does. This lie slanders the disciples. Right? Now, the disciples, they weren't there at all. They were as surprised as all get out when the women came and told them what had happened. Before Jesus ever had an opportunity to say, "Okay, now you've seen me, I'm alive just like I said, and now go out and tell people," before they even have a chance to take their first step, there's already a lie which has slandered them. What does it call them? Thieves, right? Conniving thieves who, the claim would be that they're concocting a story. Before the disciples can even take their first step to carry out the mission that Jesus is going to give to them, they're already slandered as being thieves. I want to also point out to you, this story, by the way, has, from at least a merely worldly perspective, every advantage possible, right? Money. They gathered together a large sum of money. They gave it to these guards. Apparently, it was enough to pay these guards off. How much money would you need if you just seen the angel come down, roll the stone away, you shook like dead men, you came back into the city? How much money would you need in order to now go out and spread a lie? So they need money. There's political clout that's there, right? If you were a Roman soldier at the time and you'd been given a job of guarding a tomb and you fall asleep in the middle of the night, and that tomb turns up empty, you could be put to death. But these chief priests and elders say, "Listen, if this report gets to the governor," verse 14, "we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble." So money, political clout, a head start, maybe I'd even say this, a believable story. Okay, imagine now, you've never heard this ever before. Two people come up to tell you the story of what happened. One person says, "You'll never believe it. He was dead, and then an angel came down, rolled the stone away. He's alive." And then another person comes up and says, "You want to know what really happened? His disciples came during the night, rolled the stone away, stole his body, and are making this up." Which one are you going to believe? Like, right? A more logical story, more believable story. So money, political clout, a head start, a more believable story. From a merely human perspective, I would say that this mission that the guards have been given has every advantage. Okay, now let's look at what's been called the Great Commission beginning in verse 16. I want you to see this. Where I'd say it has every human advantage, that other mission, I would say that this mission has every disadvantage. I mean, just look at how Matthew frames the instructions that Jesus is going to give. Verse 16 says this, "Then the 11 disciples." Wait a second. How many disciples were there? Jesus went out and chose how many? 12. But then one betrayed him. Judas, right? So now there's only 11. Man, 12 was such an important number. There had been 12 tribes of Israel. You read through the Bible, 12 so important. You want to put a team together? You got 12 players, right? That's kind of the idea that's in mind here. So now, Jesus, as he assembles his disciples, doesn't even have a full team. The 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. Now, if you're Jesus, you're putting together, a group of people who are going to go win the world for your good news. Who are you going to choose? The very best of the best, right? The brightest, most educated entrepreneurs, go-getters, people who are going to shake the world, people who are sure of their convictions at the very least. It says, when they saw him, they worshiped him, but, see the next two words? Some doubted. Man, I'll tell you what, I want to put together a mission that I think is going to win the world. I'm not going to pick people who aren't even sure of their convictions. And here are these 11 disciples, not even a full team, running on 11 of the 12 cylinders. They're not even sure of what's happening. There's people, whoa, can this be right? Doubting. And now you look at this other mission, has every worldly advantage, head start, money, political clout, believable story. And this mission, every disadvantage. And then you look at the size of the thing that Jesus is calling his disciples to do. By the way, as you read through the Great Commission, there's a very small little word that you ought to take notice of. It's repeated at least 4 times. It's the word all. I want you to see how big this mission is. Jesus says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey all. My Bible has the word everything in Greek. It's the same word. All I have commanded you. And surely I am with you, it says this in Greek, all the days, we read always in the NIV, to the very end of the age. I don't know if you caught that. This is a huge thing that they're called to do.